This video is made possible by Francisco Herrera Jr. at the Honda Superstore of Joliet. Francisco is a longtime car enthusiast who is dedicated to finding the perfect vehicle for you. Email him at the address on the screen or contact him with his information found in the description below. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2021 Honda Insight. Up front is a 1.5 liter inline 4 as well as a hybrid drive system, and down below is a CVT. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here Insight for a couple of different reasons. First of all, I haven't actually driven an Insight before. Now I know slated for next year 2021 I will be driving an older Insight. Due to scheduling conflicts, I haven't driven that car quite yet, but that is something that will come to the channel very, very soon. But the second reason why I am so excited to be driving the Insight is because I was looking up the stats, and in the city, the Insight gets 51 miles to the gallon. On the highway, 45. Now that's pretty typical of hybrid vehicles like this. It actually takes more work for the vehicle to go on the highway as opposed to around town, because around town it can stick in EV mode and use no gas at all. So that is why the highway number is slightly smaller, but still highway mileage, 45 miles to the gallon and 51 in the city. That is absolutely awesome, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on when we talk about the drive system, and that is why I'm excited to be driving the Insight.
Before we get on with the video, if you are looking to sell your car, click the link in the description below. Cashforcars.com is looking to buy your car with a clean title, salvage title, running, non-running, whatever it is. Get a quick and easy free quote with the link down in the description below. And once you agree upon the price, they will pick up your car in less than 24 hours. You don't even have to get off the couch.
So let's get back to that 1.5 liter inline 4 as well as hybrid drive system. Now, the nice thing is the fact that I can drive this in EV mode if I would like. So right now, it's an EV. Let's see when it switches. Okay, so at 20 miles an hour, it will actually kick on the gasoline engine. However, under 20 miles an hour, you're in EV mode. This is great for traffic jams, parking lots, drive-throughs, all of the areas, all the times that you go below 20 miles an hour, which actually is more than you would probably think. You are going to be doing so in EV mode. As an electric vehicle, you're not going to be using any gasoline and you're not going to be emitting any emissions. That is very, very cool, and I think that's the future. The other part of that drive system is the 1.5 liter inline 4. Well, it's really just a Civic or CR-V motor without the turbo. The normal Honda Civic comes with a 1.5 liter turbocharged inline 4. This is the same engine just without that turbo, so it doesn't make a lot of power. I will put horsepower and torque up on the screen, which is right on brand with the Honda Insights of yesteryear. And honestly, in a vehicle like this, you don't really need that much power. You don't buy an Insight so you can rip it on highway off-ramps. It's not the point of it. Like I said, paired to it is a CVT. That means continuously variable transmission. And normally I'm not a big fan of CVTs. I think that they feel weird. However, in a hybrid vehicle, already driving a hybrid like this, it's switching between EV mode and regular mode and this and that. Driving this car already feels different than a regular car. So putting a CVT with it, it's weird. It feels natural because it's so different, if that makes sense. So actually, in hybrid applications, I think CVTs are great. And last but not least about the drivetrain, the Insight is front wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. We have a couple interesting things going on in here. Well, in front of me, I have two main gauges. On the left is actually a digital gauge. This is for my power and charge. However, I can cycle through a couple different things on the screen, which I am showing now. I absolutely love this. I've said this in every single review, and I'm going to say it again. If you have a digital screen, you should be able to make that screen whatever you want. And Honda gives you a lot of customization when it comes to that screen. I think that's really smart. I think it's super functional, and I really, really like that. On the right, I do have my speedometer. This is just a regular run-of-the-mill gauge. It is an analog gauge. It's a tried and true physical gauge. and I like it. And on the far right, I do have my fuel, which is in this sort of health bar style, and I like that a lot. I think the gauges are really clean, and for the Insight, they work, especially that digital gauge on the left. It keeps a little bit of that quirkiness that is somewhat now lacking from the Insight, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my volume commands, home button, back button, phone options, and voice commands, and on the right, I have my adaptive cruise control settings as well as lane keep assist. Yes, the Insight does have adaptive cruise. This is great. I think all Honda products now have adaptive cruise, which is amazing. One of my favorite features in new cars. Just makes driving so much easier. On the back of the steering wheel, I do have paddle shifters as well. To the left of me, I have my gas cap release, my traction control off, and my bubble button. This will turn all of my sensors off, which I really like. A lot of manufacturers are moving this way, just putting the blind spot monitoring, cross traffic alert, pre-collision warning. They're putting that all into one button, which is normally displayed as this sort of force field looking thing. And I like it. And up above that, I actually do have my trip odometer and my gauge dimmer switch, which is an interesting location for it. On the door, I just have my power windows, power locks, and power mirrors, nothing too crazy. And then in the center, I do have a nice touchscreen display. This is pretty on brand with every other Honda that is sold. It has the same sort of very colorful home screen, which I really like. I think the screen is very high quality. A couple interesting things in here. First of all, I do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, things like that. However, I forgot my cord at home, but I do have power flow. So because this is a hybrid, it'll actually tell you how the power is being transferred, where it's coming from, things like that. So what's interesting is I'm just cruising right now, and I just watched it go from the engine powering the wheels to the battery powering the wheels to then when I let off the gas, the wheels were powering the battery. Hybrid vehicles like this, they actually use the friction created and drag from the wheels to actually then regenerate some of the power. It's not going to recharge your battery to full, but it's one of the ways that it keeps your distance up and keeps your battery fully charged is actually when you let off the gas pedal, it actually sends power back to the battery, which is pretty neat. And I like the fact that I can watch that while driving, especially because this is sort of like a new-ish thing. I mean, hybrids aren't new, but you know, if this is the first hybrid you've ever bought, you can kind of play around with that and get a gist of what's happening. Besides that, nothing too crazy, although I can get an AT&T hotspot if that is something that I would want to do. I can actually get a Wi-Fi hotspot for my Insight, which is great for road trips, great for business. If you're on the go a lot, absolutely great. You can go through AT&T and get a package for that. Down below the center screen, I have my climate control options. Nothing too interesting here besides I do have heated mirrors and heated seats, which are very, very nice. I am pleasantly enjoying on this rather cold December morning. Then down below that, I have my 12-volt outlet, 2 USBs in, and a little cubby that fits my phone perfectly. I really, really like that. To the left of that is the shifter. This is how you get the car into gear. I'm a big fan of it. I really, really like this system. At first, I was uneasy about it, but now I really like it. And down below that, we have the power parking brake and brake hold button. At the bottom of the center console, we have 3 different buttons. We have our Econ button. This is for more economical driving. This is essentially your Eco button. Then we actually do have a Sport button. This will keep the gasoline engine engaged, so it has more power, more torque when you want it. Again, this is going to drastically change your gas mileage, so just be aware of that. And then on the far right, I have my EV mode, which again is very nice that you can actually select that yourself. Center console has 2 cup holders, very deep. I like it a lot, and the armrest is rather comfy. The seats themselves are very comfortable. Like I said, they are heated. They are power. However, they are not memory, and this being the Touring, the top of the line Insight, I would have liked to have seen memory seats. However, it's not a deal breaker for me. They're very comfortable. I'm enjoying them quite pleasantly. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2021 Honda Insight, and the really nice thing is that it has a nice full back seat. That can't be said about Insights of the past. Leather stitching carries on back here. I do have a center console, 2 cup holders, power windows, of course. Nothing really too crazy. Knee room is good, and headroom is good. The point I really want to drive home about the back seat is that it's nice and comfortable, and I'm getting 51 miles to the gallon. It's nice and comfortable. I can take my family, I can take my friends, I can take a bunch of people, and I'm still getting great gas mileage. It's still a full-size sedan. I don't have to sacrifice being comfortable in order to get those fuel economy numbers. And I'll talk about it later, but the first gen Honda Insight was like a little coupe thing. You could take one other person comfortably, and that's about it. Something to think about. All right, so around back of the Honda Insight, pop the trunk. Obviously, new car, so we have our floor mats back here. Pretty decent sized trunk, very nice width side to side. I don't really get any amenities back here, no outlets, things like that, but I do have these nice buttons right here to then release the second row of seats, which will push through and create an opening for longer objects. That's really nice. Nothing to really write home about back here, but it is a nice full-size trunk of a full-size sedan. Very, very nice. 51 miles to the gallon. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I like the look of the Insight. However, I think that it looks way too similar to the Honda Accord. Looking at this, you probably thought that this was a Honda Accord. It's not. That being said, I think it's a handsome, good-looking vehicle, but it looks too much like its sibling. And now to get into my final thoughts on the Insight, which has to do with it looking like an Accord, is the fact that this vehicle does not sell all that well. According to carsalesbase.com, in 2019, Honda sold 23,686 Honda Insights. 23,000. Almost 24,000. That same year, 2019, according to the same website, carsalesbase.com, Honda sold 267,567 Honda Accords. More than 10 times the Honda Insight. The Honda Accord sold better. And my question is, why? Why does the Honda Accord outsell the Insight by so much? No, really, that's a genuine question. Because this feels as nice as an Accord. All of the materials in here feel nice. I have this leather stitched dash. The steering wheel is leather stitched with diamond stitching as well. I have paddle shifters. I have that digital screen that I really, really like. And I mean, guys, 51 miles to the gallon around town. 45 on the highway. What's not to love? I really don't see much of an advantage of the Accord over the Insight. Sure, the Accord comes with a 2-liter turbo. You can actually get it with essentially a Type R engine. Yeah, but like, why would I need more power in a car like this? This car is for commuting. This car is for work. This car is for school. This car is for going places on not that much gas. If you're really looking for a sportier sedan, you shouldn't really be looking at the Accord anyway. In my humble opinion, really truly, I think I like this better than an Accord, just based off that fuel economy, because it's the same in every other respect. I mean, look at it. This looks like an Accord. It feels like an Accord. And that is the shame. That is the sad part about the Insight, is that I think the reason this doesn't sell as well is because people just don't know about it. When they think of the Insight, they think of the weird-looking covered wheel thing from the early 2000s. And you know what? When I think of the Honda Insight, I think of that too. That's what comes to mind. I'll bet you that most people didn't know before this video that they still made the Insight. If you did not know the Insight is still in production, please leave a comment. Because me personally, the Insight hasn't been on my radar since the early 2000s. Again, that super weird one. The world kind of hasn't really cared since then. There was a generation in between that one and this one. Here it is. Here's a stock image of one. No one knows about this car. Obviously, because last year they only sold 23,000 of them, which in new car sales is crumbs. That's nothing. Selling 23,000 units is not a lot. And it's a shame. It's a shame that more people don't know about this car. I mean, I want to go on the rooftops and shout 51 miles to the gallon in a big sedan like this. That's the other thing. The old Honda Insight was a tiny little coupe. Tiny, but this is a full-size sedan. You can fit your family in here. This is a family sedan that gets 51 miles to the gallon in the city. What's not to love about this? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Francisco from the Honda Superstore of Joliet for letting me take out the brand new 2021 Insight. When he offered it up to me, I was like, they still make those? Sure. And of course, as you saw, I was very pleasantly surprised. Francisco is a car enthusiast himself, meaning he is not there just to push pencils and mark down numbers. He wants to get you into the right car, the car that is going to suit your lifestyle, a car that you are going to be happy with. And so he is the best guy for that. His information is up on the screen as well as linked in the description below. Please go give him your business because helping him out helps me out. And I thank you for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.